Part 35. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 341. At the place where humans and the monster army were fighting, the monster army was briefly wiped out because of Michelle's sword before leaving. This move gave the human army some breathing space. There won't be any more monsters coming for at least 10 minutes. In front of the Michelle Legion, Zhu Deong watched a dozen brothers around him fall one after another, his eyes filled with anger. They thought that the people from the Michelle Legion would let them go after asking questions yesterday, but they did not expect that they would be escorted to the abyss early this morning. And they are still used as pathfinders. A dozen of his brothers died in the hands of monsters one by one, and some even had their corpses dragged and eaten by monsters. He wants revenge, but he doesn't have the strength. Behind him were all the people of Michelle's legion. How could he take revenge on his own? Zhu Deong turned around and saw only the cold and ruthless faces of the people in Michelle's army. It seems that I, Zhu Deong, will not survive today. Zhu Deong sighed in despair. But at this moment, he spotted a familiar figure. Yan Quan. He is actually in the army formation. Zhu Deong's eyes swept across again, not only Yan Quan, but also everyone in Yan Quan's team. It's because of this bitch that we were captured and used as cannon fodder to explore the path. My brothers are all dead, but they are still alive and well. I won't give in. If I can't live, you can't live either. Zhu Deong turned around and walked towards the person behind him who captured him and joined the army. When the other party saw this, he said coldly, "Do you want to escape? Believe it or not, I will kill you now." Zhu Deong hurriedly explained, "Sir, I saw the team of people who snatched your prey and killed your pet beasts." Huh? Where? It's in the phalanx on the right side of the army. Zhu Deong raised his hand and pointed at the location. The team leader looked in the direction he pointed, and then said excitedly, "It's really them. Finally I caught them." The squad leader looked at his elder brother. He didn't have enough power to command too many people. And his eldest brother can command hundreds of people. "Brother, hurry up, I'm going to kill them." The squad leader couldn't wait any longer. When had he ever been wronged like that? Now was the time for revenge. No, the monster is about to launch a second round of attacks. If we bring people over to kill him now, we will mess up the formation. Find someone to keep an eye on them, don't alert them and let them run away. But, brother, I found them with great difficulty. That's enough, do you want to die here, my dear brother? Now, repel and destroy these monsters first, take revenge, there are plenty of opportunities. The eldest brother of this squad leader can command hundreds of people, he is indeed capable. At least at this juncture he could calm down and think about the pros and cons instead of being dominated by emotions. Seeing that he couldn't take revenge now, Zhu Deong could only endure the anger in his heart. He wants to get out of here alive, he can't die here. Whether it was Suren and his party or the people who came here to capture him, he would kill them. Boom! 3 huge fireballs flew from the direction of the abyss forest and hit the 3 phalanxes respectively. The 3-headed dog jumped out in one step, and its body turned into a height of 100 feet and landed in front of the human army. "Humans, this is not where you should come, die." The flames all over the 3-headed dog soared, making the air almost burn. Along with it, there are hundreds of monsters of various kinds, including the iron beetle and giant eagle that appeared just now. All are boss-level monsters. Oh my god, there are hundreds of them. Now we are dead. When everyone saw this scene, they were scared to death. No matter how many low-level abyss monsters there are, they can still rely on their numbers to fight against them. At least there is hope of surviving and even winning. But hundreds of boss-level monsters appeared at once, just like a group of ants encountering hundreds of elephants. That feeling is nothing but despair. And at this time, someone finally discovered that Michel, who had just shown his power, was missing. Also disappearing with him were 6 powerful generals. We were fooled. This is definitely a scam, Michel. He lured us here just to delay these monsters and buy him time to seize the treasure. Ha 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 ha, we are all his pawns. In order to make us believe, he gave up even tens of thousands of his own legions. Michel, you are so cruel, you have to die. Professionals from all over the world who were deceived shouted in grief and anger. Only now did they realize that they had been tricked by Michel. At this time, the people in the Michel Legion, who had been relatively calm before, began to become suspicious. Their leader left with several generals. Originally, they thought that their leader was leading people to snipe the iron beetles and giant eagles just now. But now the 2 monsters have appeared here, but their leader is nowhere to be seen. Either his leader and the 6 people he brought there are dead, or he abandoned them and left. The previous one is obviously unreasonable. My captain is still at the peak of rank 8, so he can't die without making a sound. So, the results are already clear. Few people who can reach rank 7 are fools. If you think about it for a moment, you will know that they are already abandoned. At this moment, the military's morale was lost. Everyone was only thinking about how to escape, and had no intention of fighting anymore. The 3-headed dog was not in a hurry to take action, it was just waiting for this moment. If these people unite and work together to fight them to the death, it can't wait to take a bite. It did not order those low-level monsters to continue attacking, but instead let them slowly surround them from a distance. Then there is the head in the middle of it. Seeing the monsters surrounding them without attacking, the human army fell into despair. After a while, the giant eagle calmed down and looked at the 3-headed dog's torn body and said with a trembling voice. The 3-headed dog looked at the fear and uneasiness on the faces of the human army, and the 3 heads laughed out loud at the same time. Now that humans have lost their fighting spirit, it will be much easier for them to kill them. Even the earth was shaken. Kill them without leaving a single piece of armor behind. The giant eagle spreads its wings and is ready to attack. Dao Mang flashed past. There was another snap sound. Immediately afterwards, its huge body also fell to pieces on the ground. Keng. The left head of the 3-headed dog fell off and hit the ground hard, causing dust to spread all over the ground. They will definitely have some casualties. Crack. The tens of thousands of people and monsters on the entire battlefield were all silent, and the silence was a bit scary. Haha, look how scared they are. Commander, can you start enjoying the delicious food? I can't wait. I cannot wait anymore. Fa, what happened? Start the hunt. The right head of the 3-headed dog also fell off. The originally tense atmosphere between the 2 sides became quiet for a while. The smell of blood mixed with internal organs was disgusting. The purpose is to annihilate all these humans here. However, he had not run far before he was torn apart by the monsters that surrounded him. How could a 3-headed dog let these humans escape? In this way, even if the 4 kings pursue it afterwards, it can use this credit to excuse itself. At this time, someone was already quietly fleeing back. Although it was injured, it still had no problem dealing with these humans. These humans are just delicious snacks in its eyes at this moment. Everyone's fate must be torn to pieces and eaten by these monsters. They knew they were doomed. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 342. Lord Commander, die, die. Although the 3-headed dog is not the strongest among these monsters, it can still be ranked in the top 5. Otherwise, it would not be able to become the confidant of the evil king, nor could it be the commander-in-chief. But such a powerful monster died so bizarrely. He didn't even see who the other party was. The leader monsters immediately panicked and kept looking around to find out where the enemy was. The humans, on the other hand, were completely confused. The monster commander who was so arrogant just now died like this? Are there any masters hiding among the crowd? But no one knew who had done it. They only saw a flash of knife light. Only Yan Quan and the others saw it clearly. They gathered around Suren and naturally saw Suren draw his sword. Master Su, is this your true strength? It's really just a knife. Xiaodao's eyes were full of admiration at this time. No wonder Suren refused to teach him sword skills. He originally thought that Suren didn't want to teach him. Now it seems that Suren didn't want to teach him, but that Suren didn't have any extra skills at all. He just pulled out the knife casually. Just so simple and unpretentious. This is the way of swordsmanship I pursue. When will I be able to master such peerless sword skills with my little knife? Xiaodao was very excited at this moment, and all he could think about was the scene when Suren took out the knife just now. Roar! Here you are, come out if you have the ability. Don't think you can scare us. A black giant bear stood up and glared at the crowd. I have the ability to come out, but I'm afraid you don't have the ability to take a stab at me. Suren took one step forward, and the next moment he appeared in the air. Although there is a huge difference in size from that giant bear, its domineering attitude makes people dare not look directly at it. When the monsters saw Suren, they couldn't help but take a step back. This human gives them a very scary feeling. That's their instinct as ferocious beasts. Did you kill the three-headed dog? The giant bear pretended to be calm and did not retreat, but his voice was much softer than before. It's him, the human being that the evil king wants to hunt down. His name is Suren, exclaimed an old dog. It led the monsters to kill Suren last night, but was killed by a monster and fled back. It naturally knew Suren. What? Is it him? All the monsters were shocked at this time. No wonder the evil king wants to hunt down this human being and says that this human being will be the enemy of the abyss in the future. There is no need for the future. The opponent's current strength seems to be beyond their ability to deal with. It seems you know me. I just wanted to catch up with your evil king and borrow something from him. Borrow? What to borrow? The giant bear asked out of nowhere. Suren smiled lightly and said, lend him his life. As soon as these words came out, everyone took a few steps back in shock. Even the giant bear's legs were shaking a little. It is the strongest one among all the monsters, but this human being is not astonishing and will never stop dying. If he opens his mouth, he will kill their king. Who is not afraid after hearing this? As for the human army watching below, they were already stunned. Especially the people around Yan Quan, they laughed at Suren when Suren and others entered the team. At this time, he lowered his head in fear for fear of being recognized. As for Smithwell, he had followed Michelle to the deepest part of the abyss, but he did not see this scene. However, who has the best expression, it must be Zhu Daong. This young man was the person he wanted to kill. But why is he so strong? Killed the three-headed dog with one knife. Now those powerful monsters were even more trembling when facing him. Just when Zhu Daong was thinking wildly. Puff. The sound of a dagger being inserted into the body was heard. Zhu Daong felt his heart go cold, and he turned his head to look at the past with difficulty. He found that his captor was holding a dagger and stabbing him through the body. The other party was afraid that he would not die, so he took 2 more stabs. You. Zhu Daong's eyes showed unwillingness, and he soon lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Brother, this is... The team leader was puzzled. Brother, keep this matter buried in my heart and never dig it out again. We cannot afford to offend this man. The squad leader raised his head and glanced at Suren standing in the sky, and immediately understood something. I know, brother. In the air. The giant bear asked in a deep voice, human, What do you want? You didn't kill us directly, which means you still have a purpose, right? Suren smiled when he heard this. They say stupid bears are stupid bears, but I think you are quite smart. Suren said the last sentence with a smile, but the next sentence turned cold. The hundreds of monsters you have here can only live half of them. You decide who can live. The reason why they are not killed is because the abyss needs these monsters. If we kill them all, how will the human race be upgraded in the future? Suren's idea is to kill half of them and leave the other half that will not threaten humans and can also serve as experience babies for humans. It can be said that it kills two birds with one stone. Maybe the sword god didn't destroy all the monsters back then because of this consideration. However, the sword god's idea may be more extreme. He has never taken action against the high-level monsters in the abyss. He wants humans to break through themselves in a cruel environment, rather than enjoy the comfort of being a flower in a greenhouse. Human, who do you think you are? Don't think that killing the three-headed dog will scare us. The giant bear couldn't stand it anymore. This human being actually wants them to kill each other, which is simply a dream. All monsters, listen to your orders. I am your commander now, come with me and kill him. The giant bear raised his fist and punched Suren. Compared with its fist, Suren was not even as long as one of the opponent's fingers. But facing such a big fist, Suren still didn't panic. He just shook his head and said, "With your strength, you had a chance to be half of the survivors, but it's a pity. I gave you a chance but you didn't use it." After Suren finished speaking, he struck down with a knife. The unparalleled Dao Mang split the giant bear in two from his fist. Boom! Boom! The two halves of the corpse fell to the ground, and rumbles filled the sky above the battlefield. The scene fell silent again. "Since you don't want to kill each other, then I will make the decision for you." Suren stopped talking nonsense with the remaining monster leaders. He raised his sword again and slashed out. Hundreds of monsters were so frightened that they fled in all directions. But no matter how fast they ran, they couldn't run faster than Suren's knife. Only dozens of screams were heard. Dozens of monster corpses fell to the ground, and the roaring sound was endless. "He's not dead, come here!" Suren shouted, and the remaining dozens of monster leaders who had escaped half alive had to walk back obediently. Escape? There is no way to escape. It is not easy for humans to kill them. Suren waved his hand and gathered all the remaining evil heart materials. He had a target in mind just now, and he basically chose the evil king's subordinates. After all, job transfer materials are still required. "I'll give you a mission." "Brother, big brother, whatever you say, little brother, I will listen to you. Please, don't kill me. I still have an elder and a younger child at home." The giant eagle was lucky not to be selected by Suren. Now his body was weak and he stood in front of Suren, crying with snot and tears. If it weren't for the fact that it was a monster, Suren would have suspected that there was a human being hidden in it. "I think you are good. You fly very fast. I want to go to the deepest part of the abyss. You can lead the way." "What?" The giant eagle was so frightened that it fell to the ground. This human being lets him lead the way to find his king. Isn't this a complete act of adultery? If it dares to lead the way, will it still hang out in the abyss in the future? If you keep pretending to be dead, believe it or not, I will let you die here. When the giant eagle heard this, its plummeting body turned around and immediately flapped its wings and flew back. Then he smiled at Suren and explained, "I'm not pretending to be dead, I'm not pretending to be dead, I'm anemic and I was a little dizzy just now. If you listen to me, you can still get dizzy. If you dare to disobey me, don't worry, be obedient, I'm the most obedient." The giant eagle nodded repeatedly with a grimace. Unless this human can kill the four kings, it's game over. Suren no longer looked at it, but called out the Ice Dragon King and asked him to protect Yan Quan and the others. As for the situation here, we will deal with it after he comes back. After explaining everything, Suren looked at the giant eagle. Change the original body and take me to the deepest part of the abyss. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 343. The deepest part of the abyss. The four kings have reached the final moment of absorbing energy. It's just the last bit to reach level 900. Haha, I can finally appreciate the elegance of level 900. Just when the four kings looked excited, a sword light struck from a distance. The four kings were shocked that someone dared to attack them. At this time, they no longer care about absorbing energy and can only disperse temporarily. However, they dodged, and the mysterious energy group was hit by the sword light. Boom! The originally unstable mysterious energy group exploded with backlash again. The four closest kings were naturally the first to be hit by this energy backlash. Where are you, rat? The evil king clutched his chest and roared. The other three kings were also furious. They were just short of the last bit of energy to reach level 900. At this time, someone unexpectedly attacked them. Fortunately, the opponent's strength is not enough to make the mysterious energy group burst out with powerful energy, and they are only slightly injured now. Otherwise, this energy backlash is likely to make them hateful on the spot. You are the Abyss, four kings, right? It's better to be famous than to meet, and to meet is even more famous. Michel chuckled and flew over with his 6 generals. Haha, Sir Michel, I am the four kings of the Abyss, not the four kings. The 6 people behind Michel laughed at the same time. Court death. The king of destruction was the first to show his true form and sprayed saliva on several people. Haha, it seems that he is not a tortoise, but a toad. Michel and others quickly escaped. However, the other 3 kings were not vegetarians, and they all used their special skills to kill several people. These few humans who dared to interrupt them at this time were already dead in their eyes. Facing the simultaneous attacks of the 4 kings, Michel suddenly felt the pressure doubled, and he was no longer as relaxed as before. Although they had the advantage in numbers, the strength of their 6 subordinates was still inferior to that of the 4 kings. Construct a great bright sacrifice formation. Michel drank lightly. Upon hearing this, the 6 generals immediately formed a circle in the air, with Michel in the center of the circle. The power of the 6 people turned into dazzling light and poured into Michel's body. This light even made the 4 kings close their eyes and dare not look. Blazing light shone in the sky, and after a while, a sacred figure stepped out of the light. This figure is none other than Michel. But at this time, he is not so much a human being as the incarnation of light. Michel has 8 wings on her back and a sacred halo above her head. The whole person is like a walking sun that makes people dare not look directly at him. His 6 generals smashed towards the ground as if they had been drained of their strength. But it seems that he is not dead, but he no longer has the ability to fight. The 4 kings looked at Michel, who was in a bright state, with a look of horror on her face. This human being was clearly on par with them just now, but now his power has far surpassed theirs. Is this the strength of a 9th level human being? How could he use this method to break through to level 9? Michel held the holy sword in one hand and the scepter in the other, with a cold expression. Nothing is impossible. What do you frogs in the well who have been waiting in the abyss for a long time know? Now, let me show you the divine power. The reason why Michel believed that the mysterious energy could help him break through the 9th level was because the Great Light Sacrifice formation could briefly give him the strength of the 9th level. Since they are all energy, it proves that the mysterious energy obtained by the 4 kings also has the same effect. Michel waved the scepter with one hand and muttered something. God said, "Use the fire of fire to cleanse the sins of this world." The monstrous flames appeared out of thin air, and the space was distorted by the terrifying temperature. The four kings were the first to bear the brunt. The four kings were burned by the flames and screamed repeatedly. They cannot extinguish this fire, nor can they break free. The only thing they can do is to resist with all their strength. At this moment, this human has the upper hand. But Michel knew that the blazing fire was not enough to kill the four kings. At most, it would only injure them. So he raised the holy sword in his right hand and shouted loudly, "Light of sanctions!" On the holy sword, bright light flashed, and the whole sword seemed to be enchanted. Michel glanced at the four kings, and then slashed at the toad among them with a sword. For no other reason than that he hated this disgusting toad. Another loud noise came. In the end, they died under their own power. A gorgeous mushroom cloud bloomed again, engulfing everything it encountered. Michel didn't know whether it was dead or not, but her situation was very bad now. Kill. Mr. Michel, you. Boom. Pain, desire, and evil, three different forces invaded Michel's heart at the same time. He, who possesses divine power, cannot bear to see such a disgusting monster. Michel didn't expect the blood on the ruined king to be so horribly corrosive. The 6 war generals on the ground who were unable to move because they had exhausted all their strength were swept away by this light, and suddenly became 6 unwilling souls. The ruined king also collapsed to the ground at this time. The purple energy group was swept by this light, and an even more terrifying backlash suddenly erupted. Zi, zi. Corrosive sounds echoed around Michel. Thousands of sharp swords swept across, and the world became clear. The other 3 kings naturally discovered the situation, and they who were a little desperate now looked happy. If the light fades, he will fall back to his original form. Seeing this, Michel quickly retracted her holy sword and blocked it. Puff. Blood mixed with countless unknown liquids spurted out. Boom. But now Michel has the power of 9 turns, how can it stop it? Each ray of light thrust outward like a sharp sword. This move ignores both the enemy and ourselves. All his strength comes from these holy lights. This made his will waver a little. The holy sword cut through the sky, and struck its fat body with one sword strike. Eradicate the light on his body, and he will definitely die. When the king of destruction saw Michel slashing towards him, he ignored the flames on his body and immediately gathered countless pus to corrode the sword. Michel shouted angrily, "I bring the wrath of light to wash away your sins." Before they died, I don't know if they regretted passing on their power to Michel. Unparalleled light burst out with Michel as the center. Even the holy light on him can corrode. The light that enveloped him actually dimmed a lot at this moment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 344. In the forest of Jiyuan, the giant eagle carried Suren to the deepest part of Jiyuan with a willing look on his face. If it weren't for the terrifying human being on its back, it would have thrown him down long ago. The situation is stronger than that of humans, so it has to bow its head, otherwise its life will be in danger. Hurry up, haven't you eaten yet? Suren patted its back and urged. Brother, I was injured. This is already my fastest speed. Any faster and the wound on my abdomen will burst. Okay, I understand. How far is it from where the 4 kings are? It's not far away. I can fly out of the forest of the abyss soon, but I can't go there, otherwise some kings will definitely kill me. When the giant eagle thought of the terrifying figure of the 4 kings, it immediately shrank its neck in fear. What are you afraid of? There will be no more 4 kings in the abyss from now on. What do you think about you becoming the new king? Not so good. The giant eagle shook his head. It knows its own strength. Even if this human being can really kill the four kings, it will not be his turn to become the new king. A monster without ambition is not a good monster. When will you become stronger like this? The giant eagle continued to shake his head. I don't want to become stronger, it's fine just like this. Suren was speechless. Would you say this guy is smart or stupid? Anyway, no matter how Suren deceives it, it just refuses to get in and still insists on its own ideas. Suren was too lazy to fool it anymore. Boom. There was a loud noise accompanied by a strong light flashing in front. The Jiyuan forest, which was originally as dark as night, was illuminated brightly. Huh? There's a fight. Suren knew that Michelle was coming with someone. I just don't understand where he got the courage to challenge the four kings of the abyss alone. But looking at this movement, it seems that he is no worse than a 9th level professional. Ha 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 ha. Unexpectedly, this king was a blessing in disguise. He actually absorbed a trace of the backlash energy and successfully broke through to level 900. The evil king laughed heartily several times. The human attack just now and the backlash explosion of the mysterious energy group made it think it was going to die here. Unexpectedly, it absorbed a trace of energy at the last moment and was able to break through. Now that it is level 900, it is completely different from what it was before. Although there is only one level difference, this level is a natural chasm. With the strength of 9 turns, Michelle can overpower them and fight the four kings. This is the difference caused by the difference of one level. The evil king looked around and saw only a toad leg on the ground. It seems that the guy named King of Destruction is already dead. It's good that there are fewer people competing with it for purple energy. As for the other two kings and the human, I don't know where they were blown away. Under the explosion just now, it guessed that they must be in danger. Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that the winner in the end would be me. God is really helping me. The evil king laughed heartily again. Old ghost, do you want us to die so much? The somewhat seductive voice of the king of desire sounded behind the king of evil. The evil king suddenly turned around and saw a fiery red fox staring at him with an indifferent expression. You're not dead. Huh, you're not dead yet, how could I die? Wait a minute, your breath. The evil king looked at the fox in front of him with a look of disbelief in his eyes. Haha, you didn't expect that? I also broke through to level 900. Although the evil king didn't want to believe it, he had to accept this fact. Where's the snake? Is he dead or hiding? If the king of pain also breaks through level 900, it will be difficult for him to accept. The king of desire felt his surroundings, then shook his head and said, I can't find its breath, so it's probably dead. That human aura has also disappeared. For a moment, the atmosphere in the venue became a little subtle. The two kings simultaneously set their sights on the purple energy group that seemed to be unaffected. If they could master it, world domination would be just around the corner. But now that the two kings are equally powerful, if you want to snatch this purple energy ball from the other side, you may have to pay a heavy price. The two kings rolled their eyes, not knowing what they were thinking. Slutty fox, now you and I are the only ones left in the abyss. Why don't we hold this purple energy together? 1, 3, 5, 79 is for me to use, and 2, 4, 6, and 80 is for you to use. What do you think? The king of desire nodded and said, okay, that's what I mean. Then let's put it away first. Very good. The two kings flew towards the purple energy group together, and when they were about to arrive, the two kings sneak attacked each other at the same time. Boom. The two kings flew out upside down and glared at each other. Old ghost, I knew you had bad intentions. Haha, we are each other, aren't you the same? The two kings stood opposite each other, neither of them making any move. In the previous confrontation, they confirmed that there was not much difference in strength between the two sides. When it comes to fighting, It's still unclear who will win and who will lose. But it was impossible for them to give up on this purple energy group. So the two kings froze in place. "Hey, what are you doing?" A joking voice sounded in the ears of the two kings. "Is this the mysterious energy that allowed you to break through?" The giant eagle was so frightened that it froze on the spot. It didn't matter whether it ran or not. Didn't take them seriously at all. And this is its territory. When the two kings heard this, they first looked at Suren, and then both looked at the giant eagle. "Who are you?" The two kings shouted loudly and shot at Suren at the same time. Suren just stepped out lightly, dodging the blow, and he was already in front of the purple energy ball. "Go to hell." Juying was feeling miserable at this moment, and he had 10,000 MMPs in his heart that he didn't know whether to talk about or not. Suren turned around and shouted coldly, "Stop, if you miss, run away. This time, I will see how you run away." "Ha ha ha ha, you don't think I am still level 880, do you? Let me tell you, I have now exceeded level 900. Hey, what you say makes it seem like I ran away last time." Picking up the still rotating purple energy ball, Suren asked casually. "How dare you come to me if I don't go looking for you?" When the two kings saw this scene, they went completely crazy. This human actually wanted to take away their things in front of them. "If you run away, who will lead the way when I go back? There is a road to heaven but you don't take it, and there is no door to hell but you break in." Suren wanted to put it into the system backpack, but found that it couldn't be put in. "Oh, it's you. Okay, okay, how dare you betray us and lead the way for humans?" When the evil king heard this, he suddenly thought about it. The evil king did not recognize the human being in front of him for a moment. Suren came step by step. "You are the king of evil, right?" Suren smiled slightly and reminded, "Dragon Kingdom examination, Donghua Prefecture, kill the person who is your clone." When the giant eagle saw the two kings, it turned around and ran away. It is completely voluntary. The king of evil had just broken through level 900. At this time, his self-confidence was so high that he didn't take Suren seriously at all. "Huh? It seems like there's something really special about it. It doesn't look like anything special. Human, go to hell." Suren looked at the dark guy wrapped in black mist. The evil king struck out with a palm, and the black mist swept towards Suren. "I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife." Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 345. "I'm talking to you nicely but you won't listen and you insist on taking action. Then don't blame me." Suren stretched out his right hand and shook it casually. The water vapor in the sky and the earth quickly condensed into a huge water palm. With a gentle grasp of the water palm, the two kings who came to kill were imprisoned in place and unable to move. Hiss. A gasp came from the ground below, and then he quickly closed his mouth. Suren looked down. He explained that there were 4 kings plus Michelle and 7 other people here, but when he arrived, he only saw 2 kings. It turned out that he was hiding to reap the benefits. Oh my god, he actually captured 2 kings alive. The giant eagle was almost scared to death. At this time, its whole body was stiff, its wings refused to control, and it fell straight down. The king of evil and the king of desire now had frightened expressions on their faces. How could this human being, who was only 17 or 18 years old, be able to immobilize them with just one move? You must know that they are 2 top level 900 kings. This is impossible. It's only been so long, how could you have become so powerful? The evil king struggled unwillingly, but to no avail. It clearly remembered that this human being was participating in their awakening assessment a few months ago. And at that time, it could feel that this human being was very weak. Even a weak human being would think that it could kill him just by spitting. However, it failed that time. This time, after it broke through level 900, it thought it could kill this human easily, but it failed again. The defeat was even more complete than the last time, with no power to fight back. It's as if his own strength is fake. Old ghost, what kind of existence did you mess with? The King of Desire was also panicked. Human beings who can manipulate them at will are considered to be among the strongest among human beings. It has just broken through level 900, and it doesn't want to die here. Stop fighting! Suren shouted coldly, making the world completely quiet. The two kings stopped talking, but still tried to break free. Suren held up the purple energy ball with his hand, looked around it up, down, left and right, and found that there was nothing special about it except that it kept spinning and releasing traces of purple energy. Omniscient and omnipotent, identify it. Since he couldn't see anything, Suren had no choice but to use his skills to investigate. Omniscient and omnipotent can now know information about all inanimate objects, and this energy group should also be able to identify it. Hongmeng Purple Qi, the first ray of life generated in the early days of the universe, has the supreme power to change the world and create a new universe. The creatures in the universe can use its power to cultivate. After reading the introduction, Suren was slightly shocked. This ball of purple energy turned out to be Hongmeng Purple Qi. No wonder just a little leak can make the two kings break through level 900. Suren tried to absorb the energy it leaked. After a long time, Suren frowned. Nothing works. Why is this? Why can't I absorb it? Even if I traveled through time, even if I belong to a different universe, the original owner's body still belongs to this universe. Why can't I absorb it? Suren was puzzled and stared at the Hongmeng purple energy in a daze. After thinking for a long time, Suren still didn't understand. At this time, a light voice sounded in Suren's ears. Hey, give it to me. I don't want you to help me find the remaining body parts. The phantom of the innate treasure that had not appeared for a long time appeared in front of Suren again. This guy will never come out unless he sees something good. No. Suren wouldn't give it to her. Even if he couldn't use the Hongmeng Purple Qi, he could give it to her after he rescued Ling Qingxiu. Just how to save it? The system backpack cannot be put in, and it is impossible to just hold it like this. Suren thought for a while and tried to put it into the pet space. Today's pet space can no longer be described as space. It's so big that it can be considered a small world. When Suren is bored, he will grab some flowers, plants, and trees and put them in. At this time it is beginning to take shape. Huh? It can actually be put into the pet space. Suren just thought, and the Hongmeng Purple Qi entered his pet space. And as soon as the Hongmeng Purple Qi entered, it flew to the top of the space and started spinning on its own. As it rotates, traces of purple energy are released outward. At this time, the Hongmeng Purple Qi is like a purple sun releasing its light, illuminating the entire pet space. Shika, Steel, and other pet beasts looked curiously at the swirling purple energy in the air. They can feel that this thing is releasing energy outwards. This is an energy that makes them feel physically and mentally happy. I feel like I'm getting stronger. Shika glanced at her body with a confused expression. Her level is very low, the lowest among all thoughtful beasts. So she was the first pet beast to feel the change. Cair. Shika looked at the colorful phoenix eggs she placed in her carefully designed nest. At this time, traces of purple energy are being absorbed by the phoenix egg. Cair's hatching time seems to be coming forward. And the pet space is slowly expanding due to the addition of Hongmeng Ziki. Outside, the phantom transformed into the appearance of a little girl, pouting with an unhappy look on her face. Although she didn't know what the purple energy group was, she could feel the huge energy contained in it. With this thing, she can just find some body fragments and directly use its energy to repair itself. Unfortunately, Suren did not agree to her conditions. She had no choice but to give up on Suren. After receiving the Hongmeng purple chi, Suren looked at the two kings and asked, "Where did you get this? Whoever speaks out, I will spare his life." Seeing that the purple energy group had been taken away by Suren, the two kings looked desperate. Judging from the confrontation between humans and abyss monsters, their fate is foreseeable. After hearing this, the two kings regained hope. "Is everything you said true?" Suren nodded. "Of course, I never lie." I said, "I know." The King of Desire spoke first. "Slutty fox, I discovered that. If I hadn't told you this, you would have known nothing. Besides, how do you know I didn't lie to you?" After the evil king's words, he directly became the one worthy of Suren's trust. He believed that as long as Suren was not stupid, he would choose to believe in himself instead of believing in the King of Desire. Suren looked at the two kings and smiled. "I don't care who of you is right or wrong. Let's talk about it first and I will naturally be able to tell the truth from the lies." After Suren finished speaking, he looked down again. "Also, the guy below, how long are you going to hide? If you don't come out, don't blame me for taking action." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 346. When the two kings heard this, they both looked down. I saw Michel emerging from the ground bathed in holy light. Not only did he not die in the explosion just now, but he was also a blessing in disguise and broke through to level 9. This is the state he has wanted to achieve throughout his life. He had worked hard for decades for this moment. At the 9th turn, he was extremely excited, but he found that there were still two kings alive, and they had also reached level 900. 1 against 2, in the same realm, he has no chance of winning. In the beginning, he was able to suppress the four kings just by relying on the power of 9th rotation to bully them. So he could only hide, waiting for an opportunity where both kings would lose. However, the opportunity did not come, but a young man waited. It was Suren's casual move that made him take a breath of cold air. He made so many preparations and arrangements, but the result was not as good as others. The 9 turns that I have been thinking about so much are really nothing in front of others. This kind of blow is really too heavy. Senior, we all belong to the human race. Please be kind and let me go. It was also because I was afraid of being attacked that I hid. Michel behaved very humbly in front of Suren. He no longer had the arrogance that dominated the world when he fought against the four kings just now. Suren looked at him and smiled. "It's true that we are the same human race. However, I hate your disgusting methods, and I hate the white guy even more." Suren saw him and remembered his methods, sacrificing tens of thousands of people just for him to break through 9 turns. If you don't kill this kind of person, what else will you do? Although Suren never claimed to be a good person, he would not kill tens of thousands of people for his own benefit. This most basic bottom line is what he has always adhered to. "Senior, I have something to discuss, and I want to." Michel knew something was wrong and wanted to try her best to explain. But Suren didn't want to hear too many excuses from him. "Ken." Without waiting for him to say anything, he slashed out with a single slash. Michel was shocked when she saw this, and hurriedly waved her scepter and holy sword to resist. However, no one can stop Suren's sword. The scepter broke and the holy sword shattered. Michel opened her eyes wide, with fear and unwillingness on her face. For all this, he planned for so long, and in the end, he died here. The 9th rotation he dreamed of could not even block the opponent's sword. This is so sad. The sound of Michel's body falling hit the hearts of the two kings heavily. They may also end up like this soon. Lead the way. Suren put away his sword and looked at the two kings, while also taking back the restraint on them. The two kings naturally knew what Suren meant by leading the way. "Come with me, I know where that place is." The king of desire quickly flew in one direction. The king of evil quickly followed after seeing this. He didn't want to die. And now the two kings don't dare to escape at all. The human's strength just now was similar to theirs, but he was killed with just one blow. It's no different than killing a chicken. The strength of the young man in front of them has far exceeded their imagination. If they were struck by him, they would definitely die. Therefore, they have no idea of escaping and only hope that the other party will keep their promise and let them go. Suren flew over with the two kings. About tens of minutes later, a huge white wall stretching from heaven to earth appeared in front of Suren. He had seen this scene before. It was similar to the teleportation array entering the abyss. There was also no end in sight. But this one is white, and the teleportation array is black. That energy is squeezed out of this nameless white wall. The king of evil explained honestly. Suren walked under the white wall and reached out to touch it. The whole body was as smooth as jade, and there was a biting cold feeling coming from it. This thing is not made of stones, it looks more like it is cast from bones. Suren used his omniscience and omnipotence to check it out. The result turned out to be that it could not be viewed. Huh? Is it possible to survive? Suren looked up curiously. This obviously looks like a dead thing, so why is there life? The two kings just watched Suren groping there, not daring to move. Until they saw Suren take out the knife, the nerves of the two kings instantly became tense. However, Suren's knife did not slash towards them, but towards the white wall. Since you have life, if this knife goes down, you should at least move. Anyway, that's what Suren thought. However, the results surprised him. The sword light sank into the white wall, leaving no trace behind. What? How is this possible? This time it was Suren's turn to be completely shocked. The invincible draw of the sword failed. This thing obviously has a physical body, why can't it be cut? Suren didn't believe in evil, so this time he didn't draw his sword to kill, but punched him with a punch. Suren looked at the giant wall again, with even more doubts in his eyes. "No, you can't kill me, you promised not to kill me." The evil king who had dominated the abyss for many years fell here. The fist was knocked back. It proves that the opponent is real, but why does drawing the sword have no effect? Suren put away the knife and muttered to himself, "It looks like I am some kind of villain." This made him doubt his life. Seeing Suren staring at him, the evil king suddenly panicked. "If I can't cut the wall, I can't cut you." Suren raised his head and looked at the king of desire, who was so frightened that his face turned pale. This kind of look, it knows too well, it is this kind of look when it wants to kill others. This white wall denied two of his skills one after another. "Haha, what I said is that I never lie to others. Do you think you are a human being?" The evil king was furious. "I will fight with you. You." It dared to rush over to die. Suren easily killed it with a knife. "You despicable human being." "I don't know, it's been here since we were conscious." The evil king rushed towards Suren angrily, but was struck by Suren's sword. Before Suren finished speaking, the king of desire fell to the ground and knelt down with a plop. It seems this abyss is not that simple. The giant black wall, the giant white wall, the endless sea, and the so-called boundless abyss are all full of secrets. The four kings of the abyss probably just circled four seemingly large territories and dominated them. They don't understand the real abyss. Oh, right. Do you know what this is? The two kings looked at each other and shook their heads. "Forget it, no matter what the secret is, I'll complete my job transfer mission first." This made Suren confused. Thinking of this, Suren no longer thought about the secret of the abyss, but looked at the king of evil. Boom! You. He must kill this old guy. Suren looked at the two kings and asked. Don't kill me. I am willing to be a slave. Please let me go. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 347. The King of Desire knelt on the ground, because he was now half human and half animal, with several fiery red tails still wagging. The whole person leaned slightly and looked at Suren pitifully. Although she looks pitiful, her whole person is full of charm. Suren looked at her condescendingly, and could even see two half-exposed rounded white snow and deep ravines. Not sure if it was intentional or not, the King of Desire pulled down his clothes slightly again, revealing more of his white skin. If it had been anyone else, they would have been unable to withstand this gorgeous scene. But Suren still endured it. Lifting his head and no longer looking at her, Suren calmed down a little. This King of Desire can arouse desires in people's hearts with just a few words and a few actions. It's true that he is not a vegetarian. In fact, Suren had no intention of killing her. Now she is the only one left among the four kings of the abyss, and the entire abyss is leaderless. If left alone, a large number of abyss monsters will definitely become chaotic. When uncontrolled abyss monsters invade human cities, it will also be a major hidden danger. Suren didn't have that much time to clean up the many abyss monsters one by one. The only way is to select a few powerful monsters to take control of the situation. This is also the reason why Suren didn't kill all the leader-level monsters. Another reason is that Suren is afraid that the next job transfer mission will come to the abyss. If that's the case, if you keep the King of Desire, you might be able to do another mission. Get up, I didn't say I wanted to kill you. Also, put away your flattery. The King of Desire was slightly startled when he heard this. The human in front of her didn't even want to kill her. She didn't think that her charm impressed the other person. After all, how could a person of this strength shake his heart so easily? Then leaving yourself behind will definitely make you useful to the other party. To put it bluntly, it means that it still has value. Thinking of this, the King of Desire stood up, lifted up some of his slipping clothes, then bowed and said, "What do you want Xiao Wang to do? You are very smart." Suren glanced at her and said, "Now that you are the only king left in the abyss, the situation will definitely not be divided into four areas as before. It is inevitable that you will dominate the abyss. I'm leaving you alive so that you can control these abyss monsters and not let them attack human cities. Of course, I don't mean that you won't resist. In order to upgrade, humans will definitely come to the abyss to spawn monsters. You can just deal with it normally, but you can't take action. Do you understand?" "Yes, Xiao Wang understands." The King of Desire bowed. "Also, you are not allowed to step out of the abyss without my permission." After Suren finished speaking, he stopped looking at her and left after digging a wormhole. Now that he has the coordinates, Suren can come and go freely, which is a lot more convenient. Well, it would be great if I could conquer such a man and put him in my arms. The King of Desire looked at where Suren was standing just now and fell into reverie. The outskirts of the Jiyuan forest. The human army and the monster army are still facing each other, but there is no fight. No one dared to fight. Because the terrifying ice dragon in the sky is staring at them. At this time, a wormhole appeared in the sky, and Suren walked out. When the leader of the monsters saw it, he immediately secretly thought something bad. The giant eagle that went with this human didn't come back. Doesn't that mean that the human killed the giant eagle? Suren didn't know what they were thinking. He simply forgot about the guy and left it where the kings and Michelle were fighting. Now that the job transfer task has been completed, Suren does not want to stay in the abyss for a long time. Looking at the human army, Suren said loudly. Everyone has withdrawn to the outer edge of the abyss and is not allowed to enter the inner layer of the abyss for 3 days. In 3 days, the strength of the King of Desire must be enough to stabilize the situation in the abyss. Withdraw to the periphery of the abyss? Why? What happened? Where's Master Michel? Why haven't you seen him? Everyone below was talking a lot, constantly guessing what happened. Seeing this, Suren said coldly, "Whether you leave or not has nothing to do with me, but you are responsible for the consequences. If you want to die, just stay here. In the future, many fewer people will die every year in Windless City. They are the lucky ones, as for the unfortunate ones, they are still lying on the ground. Captain Yan, let's go." Suren stopped looking at them. Instead, he turned to the leaders and monsters. They didn't even know how to thank Suren. They definitely don't have what Suren needs, and even what they have, Suren doesn't like. Now there is only one job transfer mission left before reaching the 8th level. And these monsters did not pursue them and let them go. Tell me, what happened inside? After Zhao Chuandong learned the news, he sighed. You all should go back to your respective territories and disperse. Suren revealed some of what happened in the abyss to Yan Quan and others, and asked them to convey it to Zhao Chuandong. By the time Zhao Chuandong came out, Suren had already left Wuifeng City and returned to the outside world. Windless City. Hey, everyone should go back to their homes and find their own mothers. Fortunately, this person didn't kill them all, otherwise we would all have to answer here today. It's hard to repay this kindness. Old Zaimao won't be killed by that person, right? The half of the boss level monsters that Suren killed were of too high levels, so they directly gained their experience points. The guarding soldiers then lowered their guard. When the monsters heard this, they were all a little happy. Seeing the unkind eyes of those leader monsters, the human army withdrew towards the periphery. This time traveling with Suren, they not only got valuable materials and equipment, but also upgraded their level to 7 to 100. With Suren's strength, they couldn't help. This startled the guarding soldiers, and they saw Yan Quan and others walking out. For them, this was definitely the biggest surprise of the trip. After Suren and his party left, the armies of both sides looked at each other. The space wormhole opened directly to the door of the city lord's mansion. After Suren finished speaking, he didn't wait for their reaction. After taking back the Ice Dragon King, the wormhole appeared again. Yan Quan looked around and realized that Suren had sent them back to Windless City. None of the people who led the way this time were missing, and Suren handed them back to Zhao Chuandong completely. With Suren's great kindness, how could those above think that Suren would use force to threaten the safety of the Dragon Kingdom? Such methods were unheard of and completely beyond his imagination. Captain Yan, what are you doing? Suren naturally didn't know what Zhao Chuandong said, because at this time he had already arrived in Donghai City, the place where he was born and raised. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 348. Looking at the job transfer temple in front of him, Suren suddenly smiled. Familiar feeling. After being away for several months, this place has not changed at all. But it seemed like I had been away for a few years, and I felt a little emotional when I touched the scene. A few months ago, I and a group of classmates were waiting in the square to prepare for awakening. Now that a few months have passed, I am afraid that they may not be able to experience what they have experienced in their lifetime. The trajectory of life was destined to be different from the beginning. Suren shook his head and stopped thinking about this. Just as he was about to step into the temple, a confused voice sounded behind him. Suren? Is that you? Suren looked back and saw a cheerful and lively girl about his age staring at him. Muzioan? Why are you here? Suren knew this girl and was Ling Qingxiu's good friend. During the college entrance examination, I kept shouting Sutaka. Suren was deeply impressed by her. but Musaoan is not from Donghai City, and I don't know why she appears here. Suren, it's really you. I didn't expect to see you here. Musaoan was a little excited. She had heard a lot about Suren's deeds. Everything made her feel a little dreamy, but this was indeed the Suren she knew. Why did you come to Donghai City? Suren asked curiously. By the way, speaking of this, I haven't asked you yet, where has Kingxia gone? I can't contact her, and I can't get into your Dragon Martial Arts Guild. I originally wanted to come to Donghai City to find her father and ask about her whereabouts, but her father also disappeared. It's really strange. Musaoan stared at Suren, wanting to know the answer from him. When Suren heard this, his expression darkened. It seemed that Musaoan didn't know about Ling Kingxia being taken away. Suren didn't know how to explain it to her, so he could only lie to her. Kingxia was selected by the president to attend a special training class in the guild. In order not to be disturbed, she will not have any contact with the outside world for a year. Ah! Is that so? Oh, she didn't tell me in advance, which made me worry about her for so long. Well, it's quite urgent. Maybe I haven't had time to tell you. If it's quick, it will probably come out in half a year. Suren thought that if he hurried, he would be able to rescue Ling Kingxia within half a year. Oh well. That's not right. Kingxia is participating in a special training class. Then where is her father? I've been asking around Donghai City for the past few days. None of the merchants who have cooperated with her father know where her father has gone. It's like he suddenly disappeared from the world. Suren didn't know about this issue. He had never even met Ling Kingxia's parents. All we know is that Ling Kingxia was brought up by her father since she was a child, and no one knows who her mother is. Suren didn't want to talk about this topic anymore, so he changed the topic and asked. Are you here to change jobs or to accept job transfer tasks? Come to the job transfer temple, except for these two things, there will be nothing else. I'm here to take on the second mission, but I don't know if it will be difficult. To be honest, I'm a little panicked. Suren could see the anxiety on her face, thought for a while and said. Transfer to? Wait for me here after you finish the mission, and I will take you to do the mission. Huh? Really? Then I can rest assured. With your help, no matter how difficult the task is, it won't be a problem. Then I'll go ahead and take over the mission. Musaoan happily ran to the job transfer temple. Looking at her back, Suren sighed. The gap between people who once knew each other is getting wider and wider now. The path I took was a bit lonely. Even the Ice Dragon King and the others could hardly keep up with my pace. Suren shook his head and walked into the job transfer temple. Welcome, Professional Suren. Your job transfer task has been completed. Do you confirm the job transfer? Yes. The job transfer has started, please wait. A few minutes later, Suren successfully completed the fourth mission. Except for some added attributes, the rest is basically unchanged. The skill points have been increased by 1 point, which are used to upgrade speech skills and Omniscient and Almighty. However, 1 skill point is not enough, you need another skill point to upgrade one of them to proficiency. As long as he upgrades his utterance skills to proficiency, Suren can set off to the outer world. However, if you want to get another skill point, you can only complete the 5th turn mission. Fortunately, upgrading was not difficult for Suren. Without leaving the temple, Suren had already gone to the abyss again through the wormhole. He randomly found a group of low-level abyss monsters and killed them with 1 blow, and all the monsters turned into Suren's experience. Although these abyss monsters are relatively low level in the abyss, their level is much higher for Suren. So just by killing a bunch of people at random, I've reached level 104. Return to the temple again. The temple's AI system seems to be stuck. It may not have realized how this person upgraded so quickly. Just after completing the fourth mission, come and pick up the fifth mission. But there was only a pause before the voice without any emotion sounded again. Welcome, Professional Suren. You have met the requirements for the fifth transfer. Do you want to accept the fifth transfer mission? Yes. The fifth transfer mission has been issued, please check it. Suren checked the mission and found that this mission was completely different from the previous one. There is only one requirement for the entire mission. Get the ice crystal pendant. Suren had never heard of this thing, and he didn't know where to get it. Is this material or equipment? Or is it decoration? Suren was a little confused. It seems that I can only go back to Kyoto to ask someone. After walking out of the job transfer temple, Musaoin was already waiting outside. What mission did you take? Suren asked. Submit a piece of level 150 silver equipment and kill the boss of Fire Cloud Cave in level 180 or higher dungeon hero difficulty. Gone. Nope. Suren nodded, this is too simple. She casually took out some materials and equipment that she could not use and gave them to Musaoin, which surprised her and repeatedly refused, saying that they were too expensive for her to accept. Of course, Suren couldn't take it back. These things were of no use to him. If he could help her, he would help her. Where is that copy? After finally getting Musaoin to accept the equipment materials, Suren asked about the copy. Musaoin checked before Suren came out and found that the copy was on a mountain not far from the outskirts of the next city. With the specific location coordinates in hand, Suren didn't waste any time and took her to teleport through the wormhole. The level 180 dungeon was as easy as drinking water for Suren, and he could complete it quickly. But since he helped her once, Suranchuo fortunately took her to start leveling up quickly, accepting tasks, doing tasks, and upgrading. Suren didn't stop until there was a task that needed to be completed by Musaoin herself. Okay, I have something else to do. See you next time. Suren finished speaking and disappeared. Musaoin looked at herself in a daze as she turned from level 5 to level 100. I just did a second rank mission. It's only less than a day, why is it almost 6th rank? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 349. After bidding farewell to Musaoin, Suren walked alone on the streets of Donghai City. This place is still the same as before, basically nothing has changed. The biggest change is probably that it has become a lot more prosperous. It should be Lu Wenwen, the governor of Donghua State, who is allocating resources here. In any case, he was once the lord of Donghai City. Suren went to Jingxiu Street. It was afternoon and there were not many people here. Only in the evening, after everyone gets off work, will they bring their families here for a walk to enjoy the night view and enjoy the rare leisure time of the day. In a toy store, the owner was dozing off while leaning on the counter. The sound of someone entering the door woke him up. After looking at the person, the boss rubbed his eyes, yawned and asked, "Little brother, what should I buy? Tell me which one you like." Suren nodded and began to choose toys. The variety of toys here is quite complete. Suren bought several large teddy bears, as well as some building blocks, robots, etc. That's it? How much is it? The boss looked at it, a little surprised. By so much? Do you have many children at home? Suren smiled. Well, quite a lot. The boss didn't ask any more questions, but picked up the calculator and started calculating. A total of 1,800 dragon coins. Do you need my help to find someone to transport you over? Need not. Suren finished paying and put all the toys into the system backpack. It turns out he is a professional. Only then did the boss react. No wonder he didn't need his help. After Suren left, the boss grabbed the few hairs on his head and said to himself, "Why does this little brother look familiar? I must have seen him somewhere, but I can't remember." After leaving the toy store, Suren bought a lot of snacks and clothes on the street. After buying everything, Suren slowly walked towards where he wanted to go. This time, he did not use a wormhole, but walked slowly step by step. Slowly look at the familiar things around you. Half an hour later, Suren arrived in front of the tomato orphanage. Looking at the orphanage in front of me, it looks like it has been renovated. It is now much prettier and larger than before. Two gray-haired men at the door were playing chess and did not notice Suren coming over. "Old Wangtu, have you thought about it? It's been a long time." The man on the red side had a proud look on his face, as if he was sure of winning, and at the same time he kept urging the other party to hurry up. "Don't rush me, let me think about it again." The security guard Wang scratched his head and stared at the chessboard with a frown. "Just think about it, I'm going home for dinner." "Hey, why are you in such a hurry? Don't go back tonight. Eat in our courtyard." Suren glanced at the chessboard, and then said softly, "The car goes from 3 to 6. Hearing Suren's words, Uncle Wang glanced at it, then his eyes lit up and he said happily, "Hey, good move." When Uncle Wang was about to take the step, the uncle opposite said dissatisfied, "You, a young man, do you understand that you watch the chess game without saying a word? What you say doesn't count. You have to let him think for himself." Uncle Wang said happily, "Fart, I also thought of this step, but he said it first." After Uncle Wang finished speaking, he raised his head and looked at Suren. He originally wanted to see who was helping him, but after taking a look, he was surprised and said, "Hey, Suren, when did you come back? I just came back not long ago and came to see you." Uncle Wang quickly stood up and introduced to the uncle sitting opposite. "Old Litiu, this is Suren, the genius who walked out of our orphanage." Old Litiu was also looking at Suren at this time. In Donghai City, there are very few people who don't know Suren's name. Of course he knows. "So this is the genius who came out of our Donghai City. I heard that he won the national competition this year. Amazing, really amazing. Haha, yes, it's him." Uncle Wang's face was red and he looked very proud. Every time Suren's name is mentioned to other people, he can brag about it for a long time. "Old Litiu, we can't stand today, we will fight another day." Uncle Wang took Suren's hand and walked into the courtyard, for fear that Suren would leave. The orphanage has not changed much, but it can be seen that all the old items have been replaced with new ones. And there is an extra playground in the yard. Governor Lu Wenlu arranged for people to repair these things. Every month he also sends people to send money, food, clothes, and so on. Anyway, everything is fine in the orphanage. You don't have to worry. Suren nodded. He asks Yongda to come here just to let him protect this place. Are you Suren? Look at the time, school will be over soon. She never expected to meet Suren here. Teacher Joe is a little incoherent now, and it can be seen that he is a little panicked. Now that he is back, it is actually to fulfill his original wish. To avenge his fallen brothers. It's brother Suren. The teacher's door opened, and a young girl in her 20s came out holding a book. At this time, the children also came out. The moment they saw Suren, they gathered around him and kept shouting around him. When Teacher Joe passed by the two of them, he suddenly looked at Suren in confusion, and then said in surprise. She also heard that this orphanage was where Suren grew up, and she applied for it because it was recruiting teachers. Brother Suren is back. Suren nodded slightly towards her. Okay, thank you for your hard work. Suren smiled and nodded. The school is newly built, in the abandoned courtyard beyond where you used to sleep. Governor Liu also hired a teacher to help us teach our children how to read and write. Teacher Joe, get out of class is over. The two of them walked all the way to the courtyard of the school, where the sound of reading could be heard. Well, Uncle Wang, I'm going back first and come back tomorrow. By the way, the big man you invited helped us a lot. We old guys can't do the hard work in the courtyard, so he is basically doing it. Teacher Joe asked with an anxious look. Suren, can I take a photo with you? No. No, they are all obedient and cute. Goodbye students. When they get older, they will be sent to schools in the city. I didn't expect to really meet you here. I'm your fan. Goodbye teacher. Although it sounds a little childish and the enunciation is not very clear, you can still understand that the little guys are working hard to read aloud. The big man that Uncle Wang calls is naturally Xiongda. Okay, let's take a photo together. Okay, that's it for today's class, get out of class is over. Uncle Wang walked all the way and introduced what happened in the past few months. Thank you, Teacher Joe. If my younger brothers and sisters are naughty and disobedient, I hope you can discipline them patiently. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 350. After the group photo was taken, Teacher Joe left here excitedly. Suren took out the toys and various snacks he had just bought on the street and distributed them to the children. I want this big bear. I want this lamb. Several children were playing and grabbing the toys that Suren took out. Don't grab them, they are all there. Suren smiled and looked at the younger brothers and sisters in front of him. Their parents abandoned them, but he would not. As long as he is still here, he will definitely let them grow up smoothly. Master Su, you are back. A naive yet powerful voice sounded. I asked why the school is so busy today. It turns out you are back. Xiongda stood at the door of the courtyard and looked into the courtyard. Suren nodded towards him. Come back to see them and fulfill your wish. Hearing this, Xiongda's eyes widened. Really? He has been waiting for this day for a long time. Because of Suren's promise, he followed Suren without hesitation, and even came to this orphanage alone and anonymously to work as an ordinary worker. Now, he can finally take revenge. Well, since I promised you, I will never break my promise. Thank you, sir. Xiongda immediately knelt down to thank him, but Suren stopped him. Let's talk tonight. The children are still here watching. In the evening, the orphanage prepared a sumptuous dinner. In addition to everyone in the orphanage, we also invited neighbors who had helped the orphanage. During this period, everyone had a great time, and of course, the most talked about topic was about Suren. We are all ordinary people who have never ventured out much, so we are very curious about what the outside world is like. I heard that Suren experienced a lot while traveling around, and they all asked Suren to talk about their experiences. Suren did not refuse, but began to talk about his experiences in various places. However, he focused on the scenery, food, and culture of the places he visited. Regarding the bloody fights, Suren did not go into details, but just mentioned them in one sentence. He was afraid that the dean and the others would be worried, so he only chose the good ones to talk about. Although Suren said it very lightly, everyone knows that there is no life and death struggle among professionals. They are not professionals, but they know the dangers of professionals. What's more, if those ferocious monsters didn't have any strength, they would have been eaten by them long ago. After dinner, everyone chatted in the yard for a long time before leaving one by one. Suren took Xiao Yunwei, who was sleeping in his arms, into her room to sleep, and then came out to talk to Xiongda about his revenge. Master Su, what kind of strength do you have now? I saw an international news piece a few days ago, saying that you single-handedly drove out the Emperor of Sakura Kingdom. Xiongda asked curiously. This kind of power that can subvert a country, in his opinion, is probably more than 9 revolutions. In this world, he has never heard of anyone who can surpass 9 turns. As for the sword god, no one knows his specific strength. Suren smiled when he heard this. I have to say that I don't know what my specific strength is. Do you believe it? Invincible, Suren still dare not say this. However, it is true that no one is his opponent. As long as it's not a super long distance sneak attack, no one can be his opponent. So Suren didn't know what his strength was. Xiongda was stunned. Then he shook his head. It seems that you, sir, have reached a supreme and mysterious realm. Maybe. Stop talking about this. When are you going to take revenge? If nothing else goes wrong, Suren will leave Blue Star after completing the last mission. He can't tell when he will come back. Tomorrow if I can. Xiongda's eyes showed the light of hatred. The sooner this revenge is avenged, the better. Okay, but I still have things to do and I can't go with you. I have 2 pet beasts that I can lend you. They are both over 900 levels. They should be enough to deal with the people of Yu Kingdom and Tai Kingdom. After taking revenge, you can do whatever you want. Xiongda, thank you sir. Early the next morning, after Suren greeted the dean and the others, he led Xiongda through the wormhole to the outside of Sin City. This is the closest place to the 2 countries. Suren released the Ice Dragon King and the Poison Dragon King, told them to follow Xiongda's orders, and left here again through the wormhole. In an elegant courtyard house in Kyoto. Master, Suren is outside asking for an audience. Suren? Let him in. Inside the pavilion. The king made tea for Suren and looked at the young man in front of him with emotion. I know about the abyss, thank you very much. What do you want from me today? Suren asked straight to the point, Master, can you help me find out what the ice crystal pendant is? Where can I find this thing? Ice crystal pendant. The king frowned and thought for a while. He had never heard of this thing. Wait a moment, I'll send someone to check immediately. With the help of the king, things become much simpler. About an hour later, someone came to report outside the door. The king of the country, Xiao Ding, chairman of Dingsheng Group, asked to see him. He said he knew the whereabouts of this thing. Xiao Ding. The king glanced at Suren, who was sitting opposite. What a coincidence. He knew the relationship between Xiao Ding and Suren. Let him in. After Xiao Ding came in, he was surprised to see Suren here. After learning that it was Suren who was looking for the ice crystal pendant, Xiao Ding exclaimed that it was a coincidence. Brother Su, do you remember the CEO of Caesar's group? Suren nodded. Remember, what happened? His business is spread all over the world and he is well informed. He is the one I asked about the ice crystal pendant. However, I heard that his condition has become somewhat serious recently and he may not live long. After he knew that it was the king who was inquiring about the news, he hoped that the king could send a few rank 8 masters to help him do something. The news will be released after the matter is completed. What's the matter? The king asked. He is going to the far north snowfield to find a way to extend his life. He needs someone to protect him. Moreover, he said that the ice crystal pendant will also appear in the far north snowfield. He will guarantee the reliability of the news with his life. The extreme northern snowfield? That is a restricted area of life. Is there any way to extend life in this place? Xiao Ding shook his head. I don't know about that. I heard that he has spent 2/3 of his family property to find experts to escort him. It can be seen that this is a desperate move. As a global equipment supplier, Mordekaiser's wealth is so terrifying that he can use 2/3 of it. It seems that he really has reliable information. Suran, do you want to go? The king looked at Suran. Of course. As long as he gets the ice crystal pendant, he can leave for the outer world.